Cutting across to some news coming in, some good news for Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, the Congress MP. He is now back in the Lok Sabha. At least a suspension order against him has been revoked. No intention to hurt sentiments is what Adhir said. In fact, Adhir's Lok Sabha suspension has now been revoked and he is going to be back in the parliament. Right along the monsoon session, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who was raising points on Manipur at that point of time, got into several arguments and sloganeering, etc. He was suspended from the House, and now Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's suspension has been revoked. He will be allowed to be back in the Lok Sabha. He says he had no intentions to hurt. Privileges panel revokes Adhir's suspension. Paulami Saha with more on that. Paulami, do remind us on what were the reasons and grounds for Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary to be suspended from the parliament at that point.
Well, this was, of course, on August 10th, which was the final day of the no confidence motion debate in Parliament during the monsoon session. And Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary spoke in that debate. And the trigger point, of course, was his referring to Prime Minister Modi as Nirav Modi, which he then explained was, I'm not referring to him in the sense of the individual who fled the country having defrauded banks. I was referring to him as Nirav Modi in terms of Nirav meaning silent in Hindi. I was basically referring to the Prime Minister's silence on the Manipur issue. He also, of course, called the Prime Minister Dhritarashtra. And, this was, again, in reference to Mahabharat and saying that the Prime Minister was completely blind to what was happening in Manipur. But when, of course, the government moved for suspension of Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary later that evening after, of course, the government had won the vote of, in the no confidence motion against it, it had won against it. Basically, they said that this was suspension. They were moving a suspension motion because of constant disruptions by Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and a constant disregard for the decorum of the House, which was then adopted by the House. The Speaker moved that motion. It was adopted and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was suspended from the Lok Sabha and the matter was referred to the Privileges Committee. Pending the committee's report, he was to be suspended. Now, the Privileges Committee met in the last instance. They discussed the matter. Today, they summoned Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. He appeared before the Privileges Committee and he said that it was not his intent to hurt anyone. He gave the same explanation as I just explained and as to why he said Nirav Modi or Dhritarashtra. And he said, my intent was not to hurt anyone's sentiments. The committee now has accepted Adhir Ranjan's explanation and his clarification, and they've ruled to revoke his suspension. So they'll be submitting that report to the Speaker's office. So, remember, he was suspended pending that committee report. That committee report is going to be in favor of Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. So Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary will be back as leader of the Congress Party and member of Parliament in the winter session of Parliament.
All right, good for him. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary says he didn't mean to hurt sentiments and he's now back as the parliamentary panel has revoked his suspension.